going to talk about a topic that you don't think that we would have a whole lot to talk about, but I found as I was writing that I actually had a lot to talk about it. So we're going to talk about hand feeding and the value of hand feeding and how it plays into training and how it plays into connection, and it does play into the other pillars, which is fairly common with some of this, is some of this stuff fits into the other pillars as well. But hand feeding is an emotional thing, and I think the place that people get caught up is when I'm crate training. I have people feed their dogs in their crate, and then at what point do you start hand feeding, and how does that fit into crate training? And next week we'll talk about crate training, but let's talk about hand feeding and the value of it and the struggles with hand feeding. Michelle, have you hand fed a dog?
I still hand feed Murphy every once in a while. I mean, that's something we did when he was really young because we didn't want him to have any form of food aggression whatsoever.
Right.
But every once in a while I'll just get on the floor and do it with him still.
Yep.
Just to make sure he's still solid with it.
Yeah.
And he's never cared. He's never even been weird about it. So it's kind of funny I still do it.
Yeah.
But with all of my clients, if I ever have puppies and stuff like that, I always, like, especially when we're doing offering behaviors, I always have them hand feed one meal a day.
Yeah.
And then the other one in their crate.
Right. Melissa, what about you?
Yeah, so I hand fed Cooper at least one meal a day for like the first 3 weeks that we had her. And the same with Yuki. Yuki's more like both meals for about 3-4 weeks, and I still do it every once in a while. Where I'll have one hand with one hand with the other, and we'll kind of just have dinner together.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
But that's still one of my favorite things to do. And if I have a client, like if I'm dealing with an aggressive dog and I come home and I'm just drained, that's how I recharge, is I hand feed my girls. So definitely valuable. I do recommend that to clients to do one meal hand feeding, one meal crate, or half of the meal hand feeding, the rest half of the crate, depending on how comfortable the dog is in the crate.
Sure.
To always have a hand feeding with saying their name, with making eye contact, part of the hand feeding process.
Okay. Shannon?
I'm actually hand feeding Louis right now.
Okay.
So I've done it on and off with him throughout his life. He has a lot of issues where things stress him out, or he gets flare-ups of naughty behavior, and I find that going back to hand feeding grounds him.
Yeah.
So I go back and hand feed him quite a lot, actually.
Yeah. I'm hand feeding Trigger, and the fascinating thing, just because I'm trying to reset her, is she has not eaten in 3 days. She refuses to eat from my hand, and that's one of the biggest challenges when I come across a client and their dog that there is not true connection. Like, the dog's fine, but there's not a true connection that the dog truly wants to give and surrender to the owner. That's hard for people. Like, they just want to go, okay, they didn't eat from my hand, so I'm going to put the bowl down, or okay, I'll just feed them in the crate, or they just stop trying because they're so worried about the dog eating. And we as a society are so fixated on food that, heaven forbid you miss the meal, and so the challenges with it is Trigger is becoming more intense about things. She's becoming more pushy with things. She bit me again, but she still refuses to eat from my hand. And so that definitely can be challenging, and people just don't want to bring that out in their dogs, and they don't want to see it, and they don't want to push through. And my philosophy with it is, as soon as they start eating, that they are becoming supple and willing, and that they are connecting with you and accepting who you are as a leader that keeps them safe and solid and all of that. So, and I've definitely seen that from
always been a fairly, I don't want to say aggressive on my part,
You're much more aware, though.
but I'm very pushy with him when it comes
Yeah.
to food, and I'm very in there, and
Yeah.
it's not just here, eat from my hand. I'm in
Right.
there with him, like,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Melissa, talk about your process as far as how it's associated to the name and what does that look like?
Yeah, so mine is a lot less, as direct training focused.
Mhm.
Mine is very, I think of it as bonding time, and I get, like, I really think it's like a special time for me and my dogs, and it's a
Mhm.
very raw
Yeah.
time, because I am on the floor with them, hand feeding them, and I'll have the food bowl in my lap, I'll sit cross-legged, and they both are on one side of me, kind of facing me,
Uh-huh.
and I'll just hand feed each of them. I'll put the food up to my eyes, say their name. In the beginning, I did that at first, so now I say check in, and they look into my eyes, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But I really use it as a time to. This kind of sounds weird, and I've never really told anyone, but I like to meditate with my dogs.
Uh-huh.
I'll either put them in a restraint down, or I'll have them lay down by me,
Mhm.
and we'll just kind of. I'll have one hand on one hand on the other, and we just kind of. I want to be grounded.
Yeah.
And I kind of just imagine who they will be in the future, who they are now, and I think of, and I'll thank them, like I will verbally thank my dogs
Yeah.
for stuff.
Yeah.
But I just use it, especially after a hard day, dealing with aggressive dogs and other people's dogs. And it can get raw and stressful.
Yeah.
That's my recharge, and I do that to them before bed. That's just our bonding time.
Mhm.
And I love it. And afterwards they both just want to cuddle and fall asleep in my lap.
Yeah.
So it's very touching, if that sounds
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
weird, but I've noticed that it helps with their name's not a bad, like I can say their name, and they like to check in with me, they
Yeah.
like to look at me in the eyes. It's a positive thing when they do that. It's not a challenging
Sure.
check-in kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
hey, we're in this together, and that's kind of what I want, hand feeding.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I tell clients, is like they are literally depending on you for survival.
Yeah.
And so it's an amazing bonding thing in that way. Like, we don't really think of dogs as much as survival oriented as we
Right.
should.
Right.
'Cause that's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to for them, is survival.
Yeah.
And food is a huge part of that. So you give them that piece, it's more fulfilling than we think it is.
Yeah. That's good. Shannon, talk about how you go through with Louis hand feeding. Is he always willing?
Yeah.
So what is that?
Yeah, he does, even because I do it for behavior problems,
Mhm.
but I haven't ever noticed that he won't eat unless he's like feels sick. He
Yeah.
feels sick a lot.
Yeah.
And so sometimes he won't eat, and I chalk it up to feeling sick,
Right.
because then the next meal he will.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like if it was a behavior problem, it might
Yeah.
go for more than one time,
Right. Right.
But no, I do sit on the floor and just feed him, and we just eat. Like,
Yeah.
it's not really anything more than that, but it works on helping him feel less stressed.
Mhm.
He's very bulldog personality, very possessive
Yeah.
of things, and I think it takes away the worry from him, that he has to worry about where that is and that he has
Sure.
to protect it.
Yeah.
Because I just have it and I just give it to him, so
Right,
then he
right.
just eats it and he's fine.
Yeah.
So that's a thing we work on a lot at our house, being a bulldog.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard for people to find the time for some reason. You're always looking for the quickest routine, the best routine to get into, a rhythm to get into, and so it is something that's I guess the excuses that I've had from people are they either didn't get anything out, they personally didn't feel like they're getting anything out of it, and so that they just don't see the point, or I just haven't had the time to, they don't like their hands being messy, there's too much slobber on their hands. I mean, I've kind of heard all the excuses. Michelle, what would you tell people with an excuse of there's a different attitude when, like, for Trigger, the things that I'm really trying to shift on her, I have to be pretty forward about it.
Yeah.
And I know that's why she's choosing not to. It's the same with the herding. Well, if you're not going to let me do what I'm going to do, then I'm going to bite you. And so, am I getting anything out of it? Well, I'm at least not getting bit, right? That's what I'm trying to work on. But I'm not getting anything out of it for myself, as much as I'm pushing her to a level that I know she can get to, but she doesn't know she can, and she doesn't really want to right now. And so I think, even if people are saying, I'm not getting anything out of it, or I don't see the point in it, there's a lot that the dog is getting out of it, and you're, selfishly, who cares if you're getting anything out of it?
I know.
Yeah. This is about the dog connecting with you in some way, shape, or form, and there really isn't anything in it for you other than messy hands, time with your dog. You know what I mean? It's just there's a lot of crazy excuses that just doesn't make sense, for sure.
And it can be different for everybody.
Yep.
In your house. Like, I don't feel like I need to feel anything to feed the dog.
Yeah.
Like, I love my dog and I feed him.
Yeah.
And it makes him feel calm, like he doesn't have to worry about stuff. That's something for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But when my husband hand feeds the dog, it's a game for him.
Yeah.
And I feed each dog individually.
Right.
To have a relationship with each dog individually, but
Yeah.
he'll feed them all at the same time, and does them, in like this game, and they're
Right.
playing a game and doing tricks and doing it all together. And so it really is personal to you. Like, if you have your kid hand feed the dog, that's going to be actually really special for the kid.
Right.
They're going to have like a sense of ownership for the dog, and feel like, they're taking care of the dog, and the
Yeah.
dog loves them, they're feeding them, which when you're an adult, you're like, this is a dog, it needs to eat.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yep.
So it can be a different relationship and feeling for everybody in your family. And
Yeah.
so you just have to know where you are on that spectrum,
Right.
and know that it's okay if you don't feel one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like, that it's a spectrum of feeling that you're just on,
Yep.
and don't let that discourage you from doing it, that you don't feel
Right.
that way, because like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
I had a client last week. I told her to hand feed her 2 dogs, and I could tell she was really disgusted with how slimy her hands were getting,
Yeah.
and like the dog food, like it's disgusting. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, go buy yourself a new lotion. That is your post dog feeding lotion.
Right.
Get the most smelly one you can.
Yeah.
Go treat yourself, and that is your reward. Because that was a barrier I could tell with
Yeah.
her.
Yep.
I was like, I don't really like this. But I was
Yep.
like, go do that. This
Yep.
is after you hand feed your dog, you can put on this lotion.
Yep.
And she was really into that idea.
Nice.
And so she texted me this weekend and said that it worked. Like
Good.
so
That's great.
something creative, like a little,
Yeah.
something as simple as a little lotion
Sure. Yeah.
that smells good. Not like
How long would you suggest people hand feed?
Like length of, like how old the dog is? Sorry,
No, because even if you get a rescue, you're gonna.
Oh no, no, I know, but is that what you're saying? Like 2 years, or are you saying like?
Yeah, like
how long
what
should
would-
they take in a day to do it?
No, how like duration? Years. Yeah. So, how long should you really consistently hand feed?
Oh man. I mean, I think that depends on the dog, but I think a lot of things are individual to each dog.
Sure.
I think are we talking behavioral issues or not? Or
So let's maybe back into this differently. What are some things that you would watch for that the dog is surrendering to this exercise and has surrendered to you as connection and this relationship? What are some of the things that you would look for?
I would look for when you get the food out that they either sit or down and are ready. Like, we're gonna feed you instead of putting their head in the bowl,
Mm-hmm.
but that there's a very
sure it didn't hurt our connection at all.
Right.
Mine and Murphy's connection is
Yep.
crazy at this point, but it was him being relaxed because he does tuck his tail even when he eats anyways. Him relaxing his
Right.
tail,
Yep.
him not being stiff in it anyway.
Yep.
His eyes would blink and relax. Him not being weird if Prudence did walk over to me to ask for food too.
Yeah.
But even then, like I said, I still do it now.
Sure. Yep.
And he's 7. He just turned 7, and
Yeah.
sometimes he still gets stiff with me. So
Sure.
we do it for a week
Yeah.
until he can relax again.
Yep.
I've never done it for breakfast. I just always feel like I'm too hurried in the morning. So,
Right.
and I tell people that. And like, if you have one meal that it's like, nope, that's a better time to feed in the crate
Yep.
because we need to have good crate manners too. So,
Yep.
so we always just do it at night. But I mean, I think it really depends on the dog because like
Sure.
Prudence will always be happy to do that, right? Like she
Yep.
will always, and she
Yep.
would love to sit and down and whatever it was for her. But for her, it would be slowing down the eating because she does love food so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So if I ever do sit down with her, which is not very often, but it's her slowing down and not trying to eat my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the big things that I watch for is when a dog is taking the food assertively and pushy, and you're feeling it in your hand, and you can just feel that like give it to me kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Then I would hand feed until I got the suppleness of we're just nicely licking the food out of your hand,
Right.
not taking the food so aggressively from your hand.
I mean, I haven't really started this with June yet because she barely will take like really smelly like hot dogs from me.
Yeah.
But I've tried a few times to like just be close to her with her
Mhm.
food and stuff like that. With her, it's not that because she's nervous. With her,
Yeah.
it's just laying down, like just relaxing
Yep.
and not being skittish every time
Right.
the food is around if I'm still there.
Yeah.
So I really think it depends on the dog.
Sure.
But it probably you're just your average dog. Like thinking back about Murphy, it was really just him being calm.
Mhm.
Like just dinner was not exciting, but it was not. He was still happy to do it.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
just very just relaxed.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything weird from him. So
Yeah, and of course, every dog's going to show different signs, or depending upon what you're working on. But you'll feed until what you are working on subsides, and then Michelle, I agree. Like you should go back to it. Like I go back to it with Chianti at times. I think that it's healthy to go back to it with Louie when you're. I just think their whole life. I think they enjoy it once they like. Oh, phew, I don't have to worry about anything. But you really want to go with something in mind that, I just want you to be calm. I want you to accept it. I want you to be settled in it, whether it's taking the food nicely from my hand. I'm not going to discipline through it. I'm going to feed until I get the stress to go away. Where some people are like, they're taking it so aggressively and they tend to want to discipline the dog for it. You can't discipline through feeding or they just won't eat.
yeah.
And so it's got to be a very organic thing that you're doing where it's just not a big deal, messing with Murphy and playing and pushing him away and taking his food, and now I'm going to hand feed you, and then I'm going to touch your feet and da-da-da. I think, those things you work on until he's like, whatever, I'm just going to keep eating, and I'm not going to increase my eating. I'm not going to back away. I'm just going to accept whatever is dished out to me, I guess is a good way to put it. So absolutely duration, you can't say 3 weeks or 2 days, or it is really as puppies. I like to do it for the first 8 weeks at home because I think it just sets a precedence with it where we don't have, you'll see some behaviors come out, you'll see who the dog is, puppy or not, but I just in general with average 8 weeks and then just randomly do it from there on for their life, unless you see things that truly need fixing or that's a problem. Behaviorally, you're going to work until the behavior subsides, and then you'll randomly come back to it to make sure that it truly has subsided. So I think people should, even though you may have owned your dog for years, I think you should give it a shot and try hand feeding and see what happens. And also any new dog that comes into your home, hand feeding right off the bat.